think the mRNA might be up a few too many days in a row. Yeah, I think I think maybe BNTX got a little bit of room, better room. All right. Yeah, we got to look at this. So we've been grinding our balls off in the market for the last few days. This is kind of just typical. I would still count this as summer trading probably till this coming Tuesday, even though Labor Day's done. Nobody did any labor this day. Everybody's got free money. So now we're going to have to wait till next week, and then the day of labor will be over. We're just flagging out in the market. The market will probably, you can see on the SPY, you're kind of just grinding down here. There's not much to read on the indexes. Like when the indexes are flat, it's highly playable. You'll see still really, really big range and setups. When you think about markets that are hot, like you want to really be thinking about, stocks that got range and catalysts. And that's what you're seeing in a healthy market. Like you want to see this type of action where a stock gaps up on earnings and then it actually continues. There's been some earnings seasons where we haven't seen that. So you can see these you want to see this type of price action. This is where your attention really should be focused, right? These are all earnings gaps, all newer issues, all with really, really good range. When I see that type of action, I know, okay, this market is ready for me to come in on the shredder. Let's take a look at the gappers. Mr. Nace, let me see this ADSK. I think you can roll with this. Look at the range on this and then an inside day. That's not too bad for a potential. Let me see Palantir. I fucking hate this stock. I mean, I do get the range that's been developed on it. But look, the ATR on this is 60 cents. So Palantir is not a stock that you can really wheel and deal in. I mean, you can if you're trading 10,000 shares of it for 10 cents, I guess, here and there. You might be able to nickel and dime your way to a good day, but it just doesn't have the ATR. Like you can see here, 60 cents on a 5-day ATR. I think there's just better plays out there. Like you can have stocks like Clove that move more than, 60 cents. So I think you're right on that, Marina. And then AMC looks pretty good too. So good. That's a good list you got there. All right, let's take a look at the earnings plays here. And let's start the shred. Let's see what turd is getting moved around today. This is all junk, right? When you see this is kind of it makes it difficult for the pops to hold. I'll give you a prime time example, right? INRT yesterday. You'll get one shred out of it, but yesterday, it'd been fading off the whole day or whole morning in the pre-market. So then what happens is it gets dumped off, and then you'll get a shred off of it, but then they fade off. So you don't get necessarily the big follow through on those kind of things. So just gotta be mindful. When you have a stock that's just got got a PR out and then they just starting to roll into pre all the way back, it's not a good sign. BBIG's up 17% today. What a fucker, huh? This stock typically works better when it's got weakness, and then it kind of goes see this has been doing late day red to green kind of action, but it hasn't been working as well on gaps. It's still in play. It looks like obviously probably a 12 spot. Not my favorite for today because this is probably going to be a little bit of resistance, and then the gap really kind of took some of the fun out of it. So that's going to be, I don't know. It looks okay. This is not my particular flavor of stocks. SPRT, with all the rest of these turds going, even Clove was going yesterday. You'll probably see a dead cat bounce in this, but by no means is this, this little remedy ever getting back to 65. It's probably never getting back into 35. This is the turd of turds, right? So if you want to, you say, if you got a neighbor you hate, tell them to buy SPRT, right? That'll really fucking stick it to them. But yeah, in general, Can we get 23, 24, 25 in the next couple of days? Sure. Is it ever getting back into the 50 spot, 40 spot? Not a chance. Like that's probably not in the cards, but it does make an okay trader, both long and short. Probably worth a little bit of a gander. Citrix Systems. Fuck these guys. Does anybody use GoToWebinar? These fuckers, they've been charging like $400 a month. Their software is from like the 1930s. It's still like I've been using it for like 15 years and they haven't updated at all. I mean, just for that, we should be shorting this thing just for moral reasons. But in general, this is a nice breakout. You only got 114 million share float. You're probably looking at, it looks like this is probably some kind of buyout potential runner. The issue on this one, the big hairy butt on this one is going to be the lack of liquidity. Like right now, it's got 50,000 shares, 50,000 shares in volume. Most likely it's going to have like a monster spread on it. I think we take a pass. Wolf, Petco. Petco's got a little bit of a rounding pattern over here also. That's not going to be enough liquidity for us too. Now this UPST, this is a stock that we've been trading every day. We've been trading this alongside every day for a fucking month, right? So this has been our bread and butter stock. This is what these are things you can get behind, right? Where you got a stock that blows out on earnings, right? You have 1,000% earnings growth, 1,000% revenue growth. You got chart breakout. You have a low float on it. That's a bread and butter type of move that you always want to be a part of. Now, on a short-term basis, this thing is a little bit long in the tooth. You're up 60 points in the last few days. You're definitely getting into kind of a short-term overbought. This is prime time for an intraday short into the afternoon. Like if this thing squeezes out, like let this thing kind of just, let this thing just ride on the shred in the morning because people love this damn stock. If we have one more push on us, like you get into 280, it's been moving on average about 15 points a day. So if it gets close to 280, anything above that, we'll start watching this bad boy for an intraday short. I think at this point it's probably getting ready to do a little bit of a rollover. Coupang, it's probably too extended going into resistance. This is another one. If the market kind of rolled over, you'd probably coming back down on this one. But we're not seeing any signs yet that the market is even due to do anything but just grind everybody's balls off. This thing's a monster turd. Pass. PayPal pass. You know what? The Fubo chart is starting to firm up. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see at some point this type of thing running. We've seen large caps run. We've seen, the 30-year smaller cap stocks run. There's a shot that at some point some of these like mid-cap stocks that have been really forgotten, like the Fubos, they got these kind of big bases. There's a good shot that these start to get picked up at some point. Like they've been really just left for dead for the last few months. I'd actually add that to the list. I think that one's got a shot. We'll see how it opens up. It does thin out a little bit. And frankly, like if it doesn't get the liquidity you need, it's not going to be able to do much. But I think that's probably worth a gander. Let's add that to the list. Yeah, and you know what? Like they announced some news with the New York Jets, which is like the worst news. Like that's a death sentence right there. Like just on being associated with the New York Jets is, you guys saw what happened to Sam Darnold, right? Like being associated with the New York Jets that's rough. The only thing worse than that would be the Detroit Lions. CCJHJ. Woohoo. Yeah, see, this one is too long in the tooth here, too. All right, let's see on the downside if we got any news plays. And then I got a nice little happy-go-lucky watch list for us. I think it's going to be able to be shredders. Path. Path reports lower fiscal, higher revenue, blah, blah, blah. Yo, you know what? Like this has got a big base that it's kind of breaking under. If we got 300,000 shares in volume on this bad boy, I think this one is going to be able to give us a chance. I think this one's going to be able to give us a chance. Like, let's add this to the list for an ORB to the downside. You know, with this breakdown over here, like if you get a little pop at the open and it starts to settle down, this might be able to give us a good little shredder on the downside. You know, that's a big breakdown. You know, IPO lows. I mean, in this type of market, if you can't goose your stock up, then you deserve to be fired. Like this, that's crazy. Like you're a software company, it's an IPO. Just to have the word software and IPO, I mean, this thing should be at $100. Like somebody's screwing up here. Let's add that to the list. RNXT, this thing's a turd. Pulte Homes. We can't sell homes fucking today. This is crazy. Look at this thing. Now, home builders stink to trade, but you have a huge level over here. You got a huge level over here. You can see here, this is a rollover pattern. You're also breaking under the 200-day moving average. This is probably something that's going to be a little bit of a fader today. Now, the issue on this one is going to be home builders, besides BLDR, home builders stink to trade. Yeah, I mean, BLDR is the only one that's ever moves properly like an honorable human. You know, like this one actually has got good range on it. You know, it's a little bit more of a mid-cap company, but Pulte Homes, same market cap, but it just doesn't move the same. Pass. Coins, a turd. Man, anybody try to, Coin's got to be the hardest stock to trade. Like, I just never win on that thing. You know, with that spread on it, Coin is like the ultimate, like, oh shit, I bought too high, and then I freaking out and selling on the bid and then losing double. All right, let's talk about the regular kind of watch list here. There's all sorts of doohickeys that I think we're going to be able to dicker and deal with today. Hey, this Affirm is getting back down into the 9 EMA. One more thrust down. Let's get this thing. I set an alert at about $90. One more thrust down. Like we're going to be able to get a good bounce on this one. You know, it's just digesting this Amazon news. Fucking Amazon news. What company hasn't had Amazon news this year? But it does look pretty good. Let's add that. Let's add that to the list. I'm a fan. Penzilla. You know what? NFL starting. Even DraftKings has been starting to shred lately. Penn's a much better trader than DraftKings anyways. DraftKings is a thick little bastard. Penn's got a nice, Penn moves really nice on this. I think we got room up to about the 200 SMA in the next couple of days. It's got good enough range on it. I think the ATR will probably start to expand as this thing goes up. And we got NFL coming in. Penn is probably, out of regular stocks, I think that's probably close to the top of the list there. Yo, NVAX. NVAX had a nice like morning pop, and then it just sat around. When you get when you get a morning, when you get a morning push on a breakout and it just sits around the whole damn day, what'll happen is if it starts to creep over previous day's high, if it starts to build there, like you can have a second day play. The other thing with NVAX that I've noticed a lot is that it's often the second day, like when it really wants to shred. So this is going to have a good location on it. I think that all these virus names are still in play. You have a nice rounding pattern on mRNA. You had a huge trend on this. We caught a couple big rips on this yesterday. It's an easy trader for the most part. You just can't size into it. First of all the brokers cut the margins on it, except probably Donnie. Well, Donnie's the only one that's going to let you go full boat, 4-1 on it. But everybody else is doing like less than cash on it. The margin rates are just, the margin rate stinks. So if you got like something that's a little bit better, you always go with it. But this has got a really good range on it. Even if you're just shredding like 100, 200 shares, I mean, you're gonna get your cookies for the night. I like the overall, the bottoming pattern on it. Now it is up a few days in a row, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a shakeout and then some type of rebound later. It seems like it's getting into that spot where it's going to start to just grind back into the old highs. BNTX has got a little bit more room, a little bit more compression here as you're starting to build, and it's got some catch up to do. It does trade a lot worse than mRNA in that when it wants to go, it goes, but the chart is stuck under its MAs, and then it's got this monster cock spread on it. It's starting to remount. It should start to pick up, but we do have to be mindful. So BNTX, NVAX, mRNA, those are going to be daily traders for us as these Ronies aren't going away. And you're still having like a lot of heat on the charts in terms of, push consolidation. So I do like the overall look on that. Airbnb, the range is really expanded on this bad boy also. You can see here, you got a nice bottoming pattern. You're starting to take out some levels here, and you've got yourself a really big trend on it yesterday. This is a good trader. It does have a little bit of a spread. I keep an eye on the red to green spot and then a takeout of previous day's high. If we can get there, I mean, this is going to be pretty hot. And then, on the speculative side, since some of some of us get into a alternative lifestyle, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're into the alternative lifestyle, you could definitely, Clove had a big day yesterday. There's a shot that this may get, bought up on it a little bit here. Clove had a big day yesterday. You may get some secondary action. You have BBIG, of course. I didn't see anything else that was like that juicy. Yeah, it's got some, BBIG has got nice liquidity on it. AMC, I just feel dirty even saying it. I feels dirty saying it, but you have a easy-go-lucky level. The one thing in this market that's happening is like if you just have like a prime time level where you've just been holding under, they turn the algos on like as soon as it gets in there. Sometimes you don't even need like an intraday pattern, and then it's just off to the races. That's got just a nice good old-fashioned look on this. Yeah, I mean, frankly, that may start to like kind of push a little bit even out of the gate. I think that's got a good look to it. Now let's talk about just like some stocks that has like some inside days. If you're looking here, NVIDIA had an inside day yesterday after that big range. This is probably a good shot to get a little bit of a bounce slide. Assad had a really kind of flat, narrow range day. I think this is still going to have slight bit of upside. This Etsy is consolidating here. This is going to probably pop any day here. You also are stuck just inside a little bit of a range here. I like the overall looks of those. That's the list though. We don't really need, I don't think we need too much else on it. Let's see what you guys are looking at here. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you can run an inside day scan to kind of find them, like the ones that showed up on mine. This Doxin has tons of momentum. You get an inside day on it. AMBA also, right? Big momentum. You got a couple inside days on it, like really tight ranges. So those type of stocks can work. AMD had one, after that, morning shred, you have a nice tight range in them. Usually when you get like a good trending stock, a little bit of inside day will just build the rest. Now, AMD hasn't been trending, but like NVIDIA has. So NVIDIA is a better choice, right? Because you had a previous day push and then a sideways movement. Same thing with the Doxin. Otherwise, I think that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Out of the specs, yeah, you go BBIG, Fubal, SPRT, Clove. Then you've got your daily traders. Those are your vaccine stocks, mRNA, NVAX, BNTX. BNTX is the shittiest trader out of the group, right? So just be mindful of that. Then you've got your classic tech stocks, right? So these are buckets. You always want to put your trade in buckets. You got your classic tech stocks. That's going to be on the top of the list, right? Is NVIDIA, Etsy, UPST for potential short. Shred. And yeah, if we need a short, Sava had a nice tight range after the big debacle. They had a nice tight range in here. I would not be surprised to see this thing. I set an alert right around 47. If it takes this low out, come in with a little chocolate thunder and put the hammer on this thing. It's got a good look to it. I think that's really all we need. I've got a list of some other junk I'll watch for us and let you guys know. What happens if you build out a bigger list, just start to add some filters and stuff, add some conditions into your list. So like when they start creeping up, if they come into VWAP, if they come into this area, what they'll start to do is you can have TC2000 start alerting you, but also put them on a secondary list. So I usually run on a different screen. I'll have a bigger list, and then I'll run multiple filters on it. One will have a filter for stocks that are within XYZ% of high data, something that might be breaking out. And then you can run specific conditional filters for like, okay, stock is, 1% near VWAP or 9 EMA, so on and so forth. That'll kind of keep you organized so that you can watch more stocks. It's the easiest way to watch a lot of stocks without getting bogged down with having to keep flipping through them and wondering if any of them are doing anything. Because frankly, like watching 6 to 10 is ideal. And then you can have a list of 30 or 40 and they'll start to show, come and filter out some alerts. Solars are moving around. I think FSLR is the best chart out of the group. I actually really liked it. Let's add that to the list. Whoever just mentioned that. Good job. Yeah, that's a heater. That's a good looker right there. Good. That's the list. Let's add this to the list. That's nice. $2,050. Like, we'll all be fucking dead. Like, I love this. Seems like real. Always such a little. Yeah. Okay. SPWR. SPWR's got a nice little base too. So if the solars start to shred, we'll go in with these. Da-da-da-da. Good. Let's get our watch list together. Always choose out your best 6, guys. By the way, boot camp class starts tomorrow. As always, everybody's welcome to take part in it again. Cool. Let's go do what we do. FSLR, that was a good find. Let's add that to the list. All right, let's rock and roll, peoples.